Well, hello, Lashonda.
Hi, how are you this morning?
I'm okay. I feel like I just saw you.
That's because you did.
Like a few hours ago.
Jesus, It was just a few hours ago.
But we got a ton to do today, so let's get started, okay?
Okay.
So I'm Angela.
And I'm Lashonda. And we are a Black woman and a white woman walk into a bar.
That still makes me laugh. Okay, we're going to let our guests in right now.
Yay, we have special guests today.
Yes, we have guests. Hold on. I'll let them in. Okay. So let's see how this works. I see them coming. Yay! Hi, guys.
Oh.
I see you have, were we having technical difficulties?
Hello.
So Marisela, I don't know, we were trying to remember if you've met Lashonda.
I don't think so.
Hi, Marisela. I've heard such wonderful things about you.
Oh, good.
Honey, I miss your face.
I miss your face too.
Yeah. Pandemics suck.
Right?
Yeah. So just to tell you guys about our show, because I don't know, I know I've sent you the links and I'm sure you've watched every minute of our past episodes.
Totally have time to definitely check those out. Like I'm not drowning in emails that I have yet to send.
So I'm just going to explain to you real quick. Thanks for being on. And so what we do is we're called A Black Woman and a White Woman Walk into a Bar. That's the name of our show. And we start each episode with a cocktail because that's what we do. And so you guys are our guest bartenders today, which I'm really excited about. I said today because we usually record this at night and it's 11 in the morning now. So it's a little early for us to be having adult beverages.
Drinking.
Yeah. But yeah, so welcome. So you guys are going to do a cocktail for us, right?
No.
Kinda. We're going to discuss a good sipping rum. Because
that's what I did on my turns. I just,
I'm like, it's early. We've got coffee, but I do want to argue in defense of our current bottle of rum that we have in the house.
Okay.
Bueno 7.
Grandfather.
Really nice, barrel aged.
Mom's side of the family is from. So I've always seen Abuelo in my kitchen growing up. And as I became an adult, I think it was one where I was like, ooh, rum, there we go. And it's affordable. So.
Everybody drinking on budgets. We keep Abuelo as our go-to like sipping rum. And then we also, for whiskey, we have a bottle of mellow corn, which is our usual go-to. But cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
So do you guys want to, cheers first. You guys, you don't have to, but you want to talk about where you work?
Yeah. So in the before times, I was a bartender over at 2 different locations. One was a hyper intimate 20 speakeasy over on the Lower East Side called Banzer Bar, doing real highfalutin service, really dense, intricate, like 11 ingredient drinks. Really wonderful. Kind of got to we were in the upstairs of Freeman, so we were kind of this little like hideaway, unadvertised experience that people would kind of stumble across, which was kind of my favorite way to do fancy cocktail bartending. I like my favorite thing is like being able to introduce folks to something they may never have had before and discover their like new favorite spirit. And then I also was alternating over at a spot out here in Crown Heights, not here in Crown Heights, we're in Dennis Park, but out in Brooklyn in Crown Heights called Hunky Dory, which is a sustainability focused neighborhood spot trying to take care and like provide awesome, but on a much like lower capital bracket. So it was really great. Got to walk both of the lines of what I love about bartending, where one spot very much a community space, folks coming in and out throughout the day, and the other is like a very like, we're going to control all the elements so you don't have to think about anything kind of territory. And now in the current times, I am currently full-time over at Hunky Dory, where we've completely changed over our format. Our indoor dining space is now the Hunky Depot, which is a dry goods and bookstore.
Cool.
Yeah, selling different like sustainably sourced and ethically sourced like different spices, different blends, and then different books, both like cookbooks and then also cultures illustrating how food does not happen in a vacuum, and there are socio-political reasons that like everything ends up on a plate. Yeah, and then Sela's an absolute badass.
For me, before pandemic, I worked at a bar called Jupiter Disco. So make sure it here. In Bushwick, it was a space where we created craft cocktails, but it wasn't super uppity and small speakeasy room. The owner, he had a different idea where he wanted to make it affordable and fun. So we also had a dance floor, and every night we had a different DJ where it was like a difference between soul, funk, house, disco music. And that was my fun, like nighttime weekend gig. And then during the weekdays, I bartend at La Masan, with a Peruvian Japanese restaurant in the West Village, which the style is Nikkei cuisine. And we focus a lot on Japanese and Peruvian spirits, and kind of just like mellowing in with those cuisines as well. And then post reopening, I am full-time at La Masan now. So
Wow.
yeah.
You guys are
Sounds like
busy.
It sounds like really fun places to work.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I worked in the service industry in New York for the longest time, and like half of my career was spent in a tuxedo with a cummerbund and a crummer and a wine key, you know.
Yeah. Well, this is that everybody's kind of sweating because all of these really wonderful places that had like captured what hospitality should be and can be and make it awesome and enjoyable to do are all small businesses. They're not, these are like independent ownership, not part of affiliated restaurant groups. And those are the folks who are getting screwed hardest by all of the lack of pandemic response. So we're all kind of terrified that it was like, oh, did we live in a twinkling golden era of like bartending and being able to like live an awesome life as hospitality workers? That's like, oh.
I think that we all lived in a golden era of everything, you know, before this. I mean,
pretty much.
I would never have been able to conceive of how fortunate and easy we had it before this happened. And just, I mean, this shows us how it's, yeah, we have it so easy, had it so easy. We still do, you know, compared to a lot of people, but I think it's when it's crazy. Well, I'm really glad that, I'm sorry, Lashonda.
No, I was just going to say, things are still open down here. Like people are still drinking and going out indoors maskless because, you know.
That's what people do.
And our governor said it's okay. And that's why we have so many people with COVID. I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, yeah. We went to Kentucky with something similar where it was just like it didn't even exist, where no one was wearing a mask around us, and we felt out of place having our mask with us. So
yeah, no, everyone wears a mask. Like if I go to Target, which I only go to these places on the off hours, like, you know, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. Everyone's in a mask. Like there are establishments, like most stores won't allow you in without a mask. But then there's the whole restaurant industry. And now that it's gotten chillier here, you know, folks are like, well, people want to go out, so we may as well be open. And you'll find all of the workers wearing masks, but, you know, people can't really eat and mask at the same time. So it becomes, you know, a situation where it kind of from a distance looks like a super spreader, but I'm not going to know that because I'm not going. Yeah. I'm absolutely not going.
Yeah. You know, and I have to tell you guys about this story that I heard this morning. It was yesterday on WNYC about how when it just pisses me off so bad. Women food servers are getting grief from male customers who are saying, pull down your mask, take off your mask before they'll decide what they're going to tip them. Like, this is a big problem in the food service industry right now.
What?
Yes.
What trash.
Yeah. And, you know, I just, yeah. Shit makes me crazy, probably.
That is, yeah, that's one of those, like, not surprising in the least, but still disgusting.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So we wanted to have you guys on because when we start each show, we kind of sort of have a very loose theme. Think of it as more of a suggestion. But we've been kind of talking about how things have impacted us. Like how was it making decisions about whether to stay home or go visit family on Thanksgiving? Like, what was that like, kind of thing. And the reason that I thought of having you guys on is because I've been thinking a lot lately about how just weird it is if you're single and you're living alone to have to deal with like not having anybody to talk to, not having any physical contact. I mean, it's harsh. And then there's the other thing about what if you're, crammed into a small New York kind of space and you have to, 24/7. So I thought of you two as I thought, okay, if these guys know anything about what that was like, it's you two. So, and we've told people already who you are to me and how I know you. I said, we didn't tell them all the deets. So I got to tell you a little bit of the details because I gave it to you. I just said that you were my nephew. You were not my nephew by blood, but you were my nephew. So, but I didn't tell them the exact story. So I'll just quickly say that. And then, do you want to jump in, Nathan? You look like you want to jump in.
No, I mean, we moved in together on March 15th. The Saturday before everything shut down, March 16th, we got the order from on high that we were out of jobs. Like,
yeah, that was crazy. No, that was crazy. Because Nathan, you were living with me for what, like 7 years?
Yeah. Like it was, I had been the worst roommate to the best roommate in the world for 7 years.
Oh, I'm not sure that that's true on either case, but thank you. I'll take it. I'm trying to get better at receiving.
Take in the joy. I want to give you this joy. Like 7 years ago, I had lived in the city for a year straight out of high school in a dorm on the Upper West Side, crashed and burned real hard because no one should live off of $50 a week at 18 years old on the Upper West Side. That's just not a healthy way to live. Ended up moving back home for a couple of years and then decided that I wanted to move back to the city. And you were so kind and gracious enough to let me crash on your couch for a couple of months rent free. And then while I established myself and got some roots out here, and then, lived there in that room. Actually, that was this
very room.
That was my bedroom.
I'm so excited, Nathan. I'm gonna get a Christmas tree. I think maybe today, and I'm gonna put it up in the living room because I haven't been able to have a Christmas tree. Not just because of Nathan being in the living room, but my cats, Bruno especially,
Jesus.
He just destroyed Christmas trees. There's no point.
Murderers of small green things or even large green things.
Right. So so I decided, I told Nathan on January 1st that I was booting him after 7 years. And I was sad because you were here a long time. And I love you because you're my nephew. So but I'll back up for a second. So I met Nathan when he was 7. I think you were 7. And it was when I was moving in with his uncle. And that was maybe not the best choice I've ever made in my life, but it ended up okay because I ended up in the neighborhood where I needed to be. and I ended up with a great family. I love his family so much. So yeah, so I'm not going to tell too much about that because he'll probably yell at me. But so yeah, when Nathan moved out to go to school, he moved into my living room, and yeah. So that's awesome. And then he met this wonderful woman.
Actually, our first Christmas was in that room. And
You
we had
guys
our
had
Christmas tree
jammies.
with a bottle of red 12 year.
You had matching jammies. It was both disgusting and nauseating and adorable. I wasn't sure which side to go on there, but
Matching pajamas?
yeah.
Do you still
Hold
have
on, let me-
them?
Yes, we do. We
Do you
still have.
still have them? Yes.
This year I'm
here
like,
for
we're
the
gonna go
romance.
onesies. This year I'm like, we're gonna go onesies this year.
Beautiful. I love this. This is the kind of stuff that I've always wanted to do. Like, but my last relationship was not like we it's just not something. He was like, I'm not wearing pajamas that you wear. Like, yeah, they won't look good on me. And I was like, but if we just get little sets, he was like, I was like, why do you hate
This
me?
was us.
Yes.
Oh, this is, yeah, the camera's wigging out.
It's too glary. Yeah, show it
Oh
again.
my
Maybe pull it back a little bit.
Pull it back a little bit. Pull it back. It's too close.
Yeah, it's giving us the negative effect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hold on. Angela, can you set up like a group text message between Lashonda, you and me, and I'll send it on over?
Please.
Yeah.
That and, you know, dang it. I miss y'all so much. I can't even really tell you, but the whole thing about me leaving that city is that I wouldn't have been able to do as much in my life as I have if I had stayed. And I wouldn't be as happy. Like the city wasn't making me happy anymore. And I think about that when I miss people because I'm like, you don't even, y'all, I mean, I feel like a lot of my New York friends don't even know this side of me.
Mhm.
Just like I don't fully understand or not understand, but I don't fully know this sort of new, more grown up Nate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. It's nuts for me to think, like, especially having been out here for in the 7 years, that like folks have known me since I was a 23-year-old who thought they were the smartest human being in the world. And then
And you
like
were pretty smart.
it's very. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Like, it can work my way through a mental problem. It wasn't a very good listener in my early 20s. But it is like, and this is the thing that's been really wild to like think about as we're tracking, like flipping through everything that's gone on this year, like just scrolling through my like photo reel. I'll go like, oh, right. And this is where we all thought that we were just never leaving our apartments. And like, oh, right. The beginning of the year started with Australia being on fire. Like,
Right. Yeah. Forgot about that.
like, oh, right. That's just been a year. That is not even, and I just feel like, oh, it just keeps getting faster and faster from this point on.
Yeah.
But Christmas jammies, yeah.
It was kind of cute and nauseating. Thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
I was like this. I was like, your aunt must be so annoyed with me.
No, I wasn't annoyed at all. I was just
The memories though,
amused
are so
and
sweet.
nauseated at the same time. Like, that's cute. But yeah. So so how was it for you guys? I mean, it's stressful as much as you love a person to move in with them. It's a lot of adjustment. How was it for you making that move in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, I guess like when we had the idea of like moving in together, we were not thinking of the pandemic. So, and
You didn't have that in your plan, in your 5-year plan?
that was
Yeah.
not. So I think before moving in, I had this idea of where I had always worked a crazy work schedule and didn't get to spend as much time with Nate that I would love to. So I felt like us being under the same roof would just kind of like at least get us to a point where I'm able to sleep with them every night, just hug them and kiss them in the morning, something along those lines. And then literally like 2 days right before we moved in, this is when the idea was like, oh, we're just going to be in lockdown for 2 weeks. That's what everyone was pretty much saying, given
Right.
that kind of like time frame.
Yeah.
So even during that point, I don't think we were anticipating just like staying locked up for like a few months at a time with each other. And we definitely bumped heads quite a bit. I think just because there was no one else to fight with. You got to keep it spicy sometimes. You got to.
Right.
But yeah, we had plans to like travel to Europe during our time of like moving in together. I really enjoy traveling, and it was one thing that I wanted to do with Nate as well, and be able to take them to a place where I consider home away from home, which is in Dublin. And also kind of like trying to get them to love it a lot so that we can move, but that didn't happen. So
Do you have ulterior motives going on? Do you have some kind of plan ticking away in your brain? Just curious.
I ain't gonna lie, we've Googled how to seek refugee status in Ireland a couple of times this year. Just nice to have a contingency plan
Right.
for what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you think that the butting heads that you would have had anyway, but it was more intense maybe because of the pandemic? I mean, do you feel like that part of it was just kind of the natural part of moving in with somebody, or do you think there was just extra pressure?
Yeah, it was gonna happen. Nate and I hadn't really ever fought before. I remember we were like probably 6 months into dating, and I was like, we've never had an argument, and I was like, something don't seem right. And it's not even that we had to fight, but it was just like, I've never heard of that. So then I kept trying to figure out like what our first fight would be in my head, like what would we actually argue about? But it was always just over petty things, and it was just like, all right, you're mad, I'm gonna give you your time to calm down. So it would probably just be like, can you clean up this, or like, can you make sure your clothes aren't on the floor? It was just like little small things. Like we haven't had any like big explosive arguments where it was like we're cooped up in here and we hate each other.
Right.
Yeah,
That's good.
No, it was just kind of the standard. I will say that like I think underneath everything and every interaction that anyone has right now is this like low grade static of just the anxieties of everything.
Yeah. Totally.
That it was like, we're very fortunate that this is in many ways like both of ours first relationship where it's like, oh, we have good communication skills. We can like healthily navigate most of our stuff. It was when we moved in together, I had said, I'm like, we're either coming out of this completely like knives out at each other, or we're going to end up wifed up. That's the only two ways that this can go. And then we got engaged. So
yay.
Yeah. But it was a really nerve-wracking trial by fire because like we both worked as cocktail bartenders in the before times. So we had like our one day that we would always hold for each other.
Right.
We would like go out for dinner, have an amazing date night. But otherwise it was basically like go work, go work home. And then on all of a sudden we're like, oh, we are spending all this time together, have no go work, go home. Like, and on top of that, it was very nerve-wracking in the very beginning of it because like we had moved in all of our stuff and we had told ourselves like, cool, we've got this money stacked for our trip to Europe. We're going to go to Europe. And then when we get back, we'll start raising up the money and like going furniture shopping. So then immediately that nest egg that we had built had to be like, oh, no, put that off to the side because we don't know what's going to happen before they had the unemployment extension, before we even knew that we could get on unemployment. Like, I think, honestly, that's been the only real point of like attention for us has been the finances. And that's just, you know, the story of every poor American ever.
But you know
We're
what,
not exactly
that's
special in that regard.
but that's the number one thing that couples fight about. So
Mhm.
you guys had that like right away too. You got to deal with like intense like stress over not knowing what your financial situation was going to be.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know what I think it is, and the reason that I think that you two are going to be great, you're going to be together forever, is that you guys, obviously you love each other and you enjoy each other. But, and I think, because I think this is the most important thing, you respect each other.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I think that is the single, like, absolute requirement for a successful relationship. I think you can do without the other things, but I don't think you can do without respect. Because it's
Yeah.
like, it's corrosive, you know, people are mean when they don't respect
Yeah.
the person they're with. And yeah, so
Yeah, that's definitely true.
before we let you go, so because LaShawn and I were also talking about, we wanted to mention, because we're both aunties to you too, and aunties to other people. And so I wanted to ask you, and then LaShonda, if you have any questions for this lovely couple, but what makes a great auntie?
Ooh.
Putting you on the spot here.
All right. I want to go first because family is male dominated. My mom is one of 14. I only have
Okay,
3
start
other
over,
moms.
because you kind of froze for a second. So start over.
Oh, okay.
After you said you wanted to go first.
Aunties are very special to me. My mom is one of 14. She has
Wow.
9 brothers and 4 other sisters. And for me, every single one of them play a role, as it's more of like a mommy kind of thing, just super nurturing, super caring. One of my best friends is actually my mom's youngest sister, my aunt. When growing up, she'd be like, "I'm your cousin," and now I'm like, "This is my aunt, and she's awesome." And she checks in, she cares, she takes care. It's just like the little things, with like my mom not being here in New York with me, you know, and just her being so far away too. She lives in Belgium now, but also it takes a lot for me to just call somebody auntie. And Angela, you auntie Angela, for real.
Thank you.
I gotta do better by both of y'all, because I've been fully out of touch.
We need to be zooming when it's not being recorded.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
Auntie is that one where it's, you have that nurturing, where you have that care of the way that a mother would, but you also have that friendship. You also have that reason. You don't tell us what we want to hear. You tell us what we need to hear. And
Yeah, we're
it
good at
doesn't
that.
seem like it's coming at like this is what you do. Like, all right, well, if you want to do that, but guess what? It's like, so I think that having an auntie and is super special, being able to be called auntie, and I think that it's a name that needs to be held up to from anyone, even just a lot of my mom's like close friends. I had to call them auntie, and they've been her friends since I was a kid, and it made sense as to why. I was like, she's not your sister, and my mom's like, yes, that is my sister, that's your aunt. And
Right. And I think, thank you for that. That was sweet and lovely. I think one of the things too that I think is great about aunties is they give kids a perspective of, not everybody has to do a traditional family, get married and pop out kids, you know.
mm-hmm.
And that's one of my I find it really interesting how certain people will say to me, "How many kids do you have?" And I'll say, "I don't have any." And they'll go, "Why not?" And I'm like, "I don't ask you why you do, you know." And
I get asked that a lot down here, because so many people, like, it's just, you know, traditional Southern stuff, but it's also like, this is also a big city, and people still do traditional, like, you know, people have families everywhere, right? But my family is a 4-legged, like, and my nieces, nephews, and nibblings. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, like, I do have a blood niece that will be 18 in January. I brought her to New York when she was 14 and dragged her all around the city. Woke her up at 8 in the morning, was like, all right, let's get it, let's go, breakfast. The city ain't gonna run itself, let's do it. And she was a bloody trooper. That girl, I was shocked. I was like, okay, she can run with me. This is gonna be good, you know? So I was like, so wherever I am, I told her, I was like, you always have a place with me because I know that you can get up and get at it. You know, this life is not to be lived, you know, from your bed. That's not how this works. Get up, get going, let's do it. Yeah, especially when you're on vacation. You're not on vacation to sleep all day. What are you doing?
You can do that for free at home.
Right, exactly that. I was like, no, honey, let's get to these museums while we can do it. And you know what? That's the interesting thing. The perspective that is to be gained, I think, from this pandemic is that you must go out and see the world. It's not going to show up at your doorstep. And it's something that we can't really do right now. Like, we can't go hit the museums. We can't go see that special exhibit. What we can do, you know, well, what I know here, one of the things, my favorite things that I got a chance to do this summer was to go to the botanical gardens. I don't know how many people, you know, patronize their local botanical gardens, but it's an important thing to do. For one, you get to see things that you wouldn't normally see, plants, native species, native not species. And also, it's just a gorgeous place to be, especially in the winter in New York. I used to go to the Bronx Botanical Gardens in the dead of winter. They have a tropical plant reserve. It's 80 plus degrees in there with all of those crazy phytochemicals in the greenhouse effect. Just go in there and take a few deep breaths. Next level, life-changing. It's fantastic. It's worth the train ride.
I don't get up to Bronx nearly enough.
It's so good. And I don't know if the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens has the same sort of tropical plant room.
They do.
But they do. Okay. I used to go to the one in the Bronx and it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. So it's things like this. Now that we've missed out of a full year of being able to go and see the world around us, the world abroad, you know, the world an hour away, we need to really take note of what we've missed and continue to live once we can. Yeah. Botanical gardens are typically outdoors. It doesn't hurt to, you know, dress yourself properly, you know, depending on how harsh the winter is where you are, and go see some plants, go breathe some fresh air through your mask. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt. I'm also a botanical gardens fanatic. Like, every city that I've ever visited, I have to go to their botanical gardens. I've been to the botanical gardens in Victoria, British Columbia, Vancouver, Montreal, Atlanta, New York, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. Then I don't remember the tropical preserve or the tropical plant preserve. Yeah, Ottawa. It's just part of what I like to do. So go to the botanical gardens and museums and stuff once they open again.
I always tell people to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
When people come here, that's my favorite. That's probably my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, there's that too. There's fewer tourists too now, so you'll be able to get across there pretty.
Right, exactly.
I think a lot about like all of the different small things. Like, it's very easy to think about like, oh, we can't go to the museums, oh, we can't do. But like all of the little things that make New York so beautiful and wonderful that we can interact with right now. Just like being able to walk into a bodega with the like all of the small interactions that really occur in the city, not terrified of like maintaining social distance and like not having to sweat, all of these sorts of things. And I just try to remind myself, like, it's dark, it's bleak right now. We are probably only 10 months away from being able to sit at a bar having a beer with our friends inside comfortably with no worries.
Right.
Like that's the thing where I'm like, I see so many folks who are leaving New York, not because of like the hard internal search that like you went through, Lashonda, but like folks who are just like, well, I'm out. I was like, you know, this is going to be the city again. Like we're going to get back to the New York. Like it is going to look radically different in many ways, but like it's still going to be a 1,000 languages.
Where do you see the service industry being at the end of this? I know you guys don't have an answer, you know, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I do question whether or not, like on a cocktail making level, I do question whether or not the days of a certain level of cocktail bartending are over. Just because like you need a middle class, you need like a thriving middle class with a little bit of expendable income and a deep interest and excitement to be able to make dope cocktail bars exist. Because like the stratified economics that we're kind of barreling towards right now, you're like upper crust big money don't care about infusions, deep, rich, interesting flavors. Like they want booze that's older than their children and bottles of wine that cost like small fortunes. Mm-hmm. And then on the bottom level, you have like everybody who just wants that beer after their shift. And no shame in that game. I am a big fan of a Miller High Life, but like to get people to, because I don't think people realize just how many hands it takes to make like a fine dining service actually operate. And especially as we have more conversations about equitable payment. I would say that's kind of the most interesting thing about working over at Hunky Dory is realizing just how much labor is invisibilized to like immigrant communities, underpaid communities. Yeah. Like bartending is a lot harder when you don't have a porter to like come in and do all the deep cleaning at the end of the night. When you're the person who's managing that, it requires quite a bit more energy. And as we move towards like wanting to equitably pay people, it's going to make a lot of these systems that are inherently built off of exploitation unmanageable. So I'm very curious to see, like, I think the only way that this is going to survive is by massively overhauling how we operate on like on a financing level, on a financing level. Is I think this is what's going to have to happen with a lot more industries. The line items is that we're going to have to like increase our labor line items and decrease our materials in order to, because like we can't keep paying people $10 an hour and expecting a healthy, maintainable economic ecosystem. Like, I think we're going to watch a lot more people become a lot more resourceful with lower cost bottles to be able to maintain. Like, I think about like how New Orleans, a lot of like New Orleans cocktail bars have like shifted to cocktail dives essentially. Where it's like, this is your standard neighborhood dive bar. It's just everyone here knows how to make a vieux carré or knows how to make like a traditional snack or a temporary, any number of old cocktails. But writ large, like folks can also just get a Miller High Life and a shot of Jaeger. And both of those things are equally welcomed in that space.
I don't totally agree with that. For me, is because I am super grateful that even opening up during the pandemic, my money has not changed. I have still made the same amount of money that I was making before pandemic, working 2 jobs. And I am so grateful for that. The one thing that I do see is that people want to be out. People want to like talk about our booth selection. People want to know about cocktails. It's still something that people buy. What people are missing it right now. So once a lot of these small spaces are able to make it to the other side, they are going to be filled because people miss those spaces. You know,
Right.
the busy spaces are the like more popular ones. Dante is always busy. Death and Co is always busy. Yes, Lama and Lama San is always busy, but like once we get over to the other side and like all of the other smaller cocktail bars that did exist, all of the other restaurants that did exist will still be going because people are still more people will be out.
Right.
Oh my God, it's true. I mean, I can't wait to go back. We have a lovely little cocktail scene here in Atlanta too. And I just miss, huh?
I want to come visit Atlanta. I've heard nothing but amazing things about Atlanta's cocktail scene.
I
Like,
bet she'd be happy to have you in Atlanta. Just a guess. Just a guess.
Please,
y'all
listen.
y'all also
There's
got a
so
little
much.
film and television scene down there that's popping up. So
Oh
you
my
know,
God, there's Pinehurst Studios in what is that? Peachtree Corner / Fayetteville, Georgia. There's Tyler Perry Studios, which is literally just south of College Park.
it is
Like,
the Hollywood of the East Coast at this point. Like,
there's a lot of work to be done here. Now, I have a few friends who work in that industry, and to work, what they're doing is basically isolating. And I think they're testing every few days.
mm-hmm.
Like, you have to do it to be on set.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I don't want to be the Pollyanna person, but I don't care. This is my perspective on it, and that's it. Compared to my New York life, my life now is so much more full and so much happier, and I have better space, and like everything took a 150% uptick to better.
Mm-hmm.
So even though, yeah, I haven't gotten a hug since the summer, but like, it doesn't suck to have my whole kitchen to myself. And I just started, my own product line. I make hair products and body products. I make a body butter, all these things. So, and that's what I was up late with Angela doing last night.
While I was poaching pears.
Nice.
Yes.
Because one of the things that we were talking about was that the hard thing about being alone during this is that, yes, I miss the hugs and stuff, but the thing that really gets me is just not having anybody to just say, oh, hey, I look at this in the New York Times.
Yeah.
Like what's 27 down or whatever. That's the hard part. It's just like the little things that you just get used to having somebody to share them with. So Lashonda and I have been doing that, trying to do that for each other. We were just on, we were on whatever, Facebook Messenger, whatever last night. And she was doing her thing, I was doing mine, and we were chatting a little bit, but we did that for like 2 hours and it was awesome.
It was really good. Even though I didn't go to bed until 3 something in the morning.
I know, me too. That was bad. But
yeah,
I think
it's the weekend.
We're trying to be a little bit more mindful of time because we do tend to go on these things.
Yes.
So I want to start working towards wrapping up. We didn't do our toast, so I wanted to just say who we're toasting today.
Yes, we have a toast. I'll pour some more seltzer water.
Because we do that as part of our thing here. And so the toast today is to Sir Ken Robinson, and he died during the summer. I think he died in August. And he was an education advocate, but he really, and a teacher, but he really was about creativity. And I'm just going to read a couple quotes by him. He did one of the most, his TED Talk is ranked as one of the top 20 TED Talks. And we'll put the link for it in the comments section. But one of the things he said was creativity is as important now in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status.
Wow.
I love that. He also said, this is another one of my favorites, He said, for most of us, the problem isn't that we aim too high and fail. It's just the opposite. We aim too low and succeed.
Mhm.
And then this is one that I really love. He said, we are educating people out of their creative capacities. I believe this passionately, that we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it, or rather we get educated out of it. And I think why I like that so much is I think that, as Nate was talking about earlier, that, there's tons of things that we could do. And I feel like we have such an opportunity now, because people are starting to see the limits of our current system and the limitations. I hope they are. If they're not, then I can tell them where to look. But we have the opportunity now to come up with some and that's one of the things that frustrates me so much about this country. We have all kinds of problems, as we all know, but we have all kinds of smart, creative, wonderful people here too. So why aren't we working on this shit? Why aren't we talking about it more? I know it's happening on a local level in a lot of different ways that we don't hear about, which is awesome. But why isn't this our next, moonshot or TVA or whatever? Like, let's figure out, like, let's say we're on the brink of, as I like to call it, the Star Trek universe future, which informs my philosophy and my spirituality. So I feel like we're getting close to that. Let's go for it. Let's come up with some big ideas and see if we can make it work.
Yeah. Like at the beginning of the pandemic, there was this beautiful moment where I had such hope, because I'm like, wait, we're realizing that we don't need to commute for our jobs, or like maybe a lot of our jobs actually aren't necessary to be 40 hours a week, like, or all of these sorts of things where I'm like,
or maybe there's something to be said with spending time with your family and your kids.
Yeah, that like maybe selling 40 hours of your labor and your life on the free market is not necessarily the most healthy thing or the most productive thing to society. But like, I think a lot about, there was an old pamphlet that I saw from the Black Panther Party in Chicago that was talking about, like, they tell us there are no jobs, but look around your neighborhood. How much work is there to be done? You know what needs to be done. Why will they not do it? Right. And that's the thing, is like, there is so much work that needs to be done. We're just not allowing people to do it. We're not facilitating people to be able to take care of their communities, to be able to take ownership, because we're too busy having to sell all of our time and our lives outside of our communities.
Right.
So that we can rent the space, so that it can, so
we can have the burger in the freezer.
Yeah.
For me, that's what it is. It's the burger in the freezer syndrome. We got sold this bill of goods a long time ago that the way to happiness was through the American dream, which meant buying a house in the suburbs. So you could have your barbecue in the backyard and you can have friends over on the weekend for the barbecue, but they're not going to go out to see you because you live an hour's drive out of town, the city, and they live an hour's drive out of town on the other side. So it's 4 hours spent in the car. So you don't see people, you don't see your friends anymore. But you have the American dream. You have this house that you have to pay to keep up, and you have to spend all this money on commuting costs, and you have no time to spend with people anymore. But you have this house, and I don't get it. And all because you want to have that deep freezer in your basement that has burgers in it for the barbecue that you will never have. That's kind of how I feel about it.
This is why I live in the middle of the city.
Well, this is the thing where it's like, yeah, this moment right here is a step towards that fully automated luxury space communism that is starting, where, like, sure, we may not be able to do the 4-hour commute, but like, we have the technology to sit and play a board game. Like, we could just as easily be playing Monopoly while we're doing this.
Right.
We have done a lot. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, there was a really wonderful article today when we're talking about like smart people being able to do things. There was an article that I was reading this morning talking about how having all of all of this information hiding behind paywalls is actually doing a massive disservice to humanity. Not just like, oh, I need to pay money to read a New York Times article so that I can like have researched opinions and these sorts of things. Is that like part of the problem that we're at is the truth exists behind paywalls. Lies you get for free internet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's this issue where it's like, we have the tools and resources for everyone to have access to all of the world's information.
Yeah.
Why have we not done that?
Because information is power, nephew.
Yeah. Because like, we're sitting here and it's like, we have a scarcity of doctors. I'm like, well, then train people. There's so many people who want to do medicine, who want to like,
yeah.
Why are we hiding that information behind paywalls? People want to teach people how to help other people.
Paywalls are too big though. Those higher education paywalls, that's a whole industry. Collections, servicing.
It's all about power and control, as we know.
Yeah, and it's like I don't blame professors and like writers and those folks for like wanting to get paid for their writing. Like if you spent years and years and years researching this topic, you wrote this book, get paid for it. But also like that is a result of like, no, they've got the same like poverty gun to their head. So that like they have to hoard this information, this knowledge, these discoveries and revelations that folks have had. They have to hide them behind paywalls because they've got the same like gun of poverty to their head.
Well, I still miss Napster. I freaking love Napster. Napster was awesome. But the thing that was so frustrating for me, I understand as well that an artist needs to get paid. I'm a writer. I don't get paid for anything, so I can relate. I want to get paid. So I get that. But at the same time, the irony of the fact that it was the music industry that was going after Napster when the music industry is the biggest rip off of artists in ever. It's like, okay, because they have to pay you back. Like they basically loan out their services to starting artists who are just starting. I mean, it's crazy. So the fact that they're complaining about this little and I looked at it and I thought, this is fucking amazing. This guy created this server that connect all these, like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Why aren't we celebrating that? I mean, I'm not saying,
piracy.
We don't want, piracy,
like,
but we lose.
Great,
we stamp out all these wonderful things, this creativity through this punitive system that we have. That's my point.
There's a way there's definitely a way to make sure that people are being paid for their labor and also share information. Like
make sure that people don't need to get paid anymore. We could get really radical, and then my mom will never speak to me again. We could take away the need for salary.
If there were
get rid of a money economy,
income, yes, that could work.
Yeah,
with a universal minimum income.
And that's the I think a lot of that, like, we actually don't live in a scarcity environment anymore. Like, as humans, we are in a post-scarcity. We just have a distribution problem. Is that like we are able to manufacture the resources that we need as a society, even without even ignoring like future automation levels that will then even further rocket us into like, oh right, we probably only need to work 20-hour work weeks if we're being honest.
We've automated so much. Not everybody needs to work, people.
No,
it's crazy. Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, so we've created fake jobs to
exactly
be able to maintain these, like, this supervision class. But we have I think about what things like Bandcamp and have done for like art, musical artistic movement, how much that's flourished since piracy, and because of piracy, that like folks are able to discover new interests, new influences, and build on each other's shared knowledge. Like, the reason that we have dope music today is because like jazz musicians didn't hide their shit. The reason that we have a dope cocktail scene is like nobody hides how we do things from each other in the booze scene. Like if someone wants to know how we make a syrup, here's the recipe. Like, how did you pull off this technique? It's like, here, go do this. And all of a sudden in 4 years, we've gone, or not 4 years, but like over, I'd say probably 15 years, we went from like everything being sour mix to centrifuging lime juice to be able to force carbonate it.
Yeah.
Well,
Open source.
I think about, and we've talked about it on this show, that our friend, we all knew Marisela, I think, and you never met him, but the rest of us knew him. And one of the things that he said to me was, we were trying to come up with an idea for this screenplay we were writing, and I was really struggling with it. And he said, well, just what do you like about another movie? Pick something that you like from another movie. So I thought of one thing, and then he said, now pick something you like from another movie, something completely different. And I picked something. He said, okay, we put those together, and that's our idea.
Ta-da.
And I'm like, isn't that stealing? And he said, no, that's art. That's what you do. Like you take things that you like, and you combine it with something else that you like in a way that nobody's ever done it before. And I was like, okay. And then he said, that's what we did for Fight for Your Right to Party.
Rick Manello.
Yeah.
I said, we're talking about.
Yes. And I said, okay, what were your two inspirations? And he said, Keystone Cops and Breakfast at Tiffany's. And I said, I get the Keystone Cop pie in the face stuff. Breakfast at Tiffany's, he said, the party scene when they're in this super tiny apartment and they have to go out on the balcony, and there's that scene where they're all sitting on the couch in front of the coffee table. And that's where they came up with the idea. So yeah. And I think, I keep having this thing, and then I think we should wrap it up because we're way over time.
Right.
I've been a poor manager.
We need to raise our glass, though, to the gentleman you were speaking on earlier. Say his name one more time.
Sir Ken Robinson. And he did
Cheers to Sir Ken Robinson.
Yeah, I would encourage you to listen to the TED Talk one, which I'll put a link to. But he also did a video right before he died, and he talked about basically saying, I'm not worried about the planet. The planet has been here for a gazillion years. It will continue to be here. I'm worried about us. And, and the only thing that's going to save us is if we is the planet. So
really good.
It was
observation.
Yeah. So he was an awesome dude. And then I wanted to say, so cheers.
Cheers.
Sir Ken.
Cheers.
And I wanted to say, and I've been saying this a lot, and I don't know what it means, but I know that it's true. If that makes any sense. That I don't know the way out of this big mess that we're in as a culture and a planet. I don't know the way out of it, but I do know that it's about art. that is the only way we get out of this. And like I said, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like, but I know that it's true. And thank you both for being on the show. It was really great. I love you both. I love you both so super much.
Love you.
Mwah.
Bye, aunties.
So that's an
Bye.
So we're saying goodbye. So this is Angela. I'm Angela.
And I'm Lashonda. And we are a black woman and a white woman walk into a bar.
Yay!
Hey.
Okay, bye guys. Talk to you later. Love you.
Love you too.